Hello. Looks like my sound is working. How's my hair? Terrible as usual. I don't like hide under a hat all the time though. But yeah, my glasses are a little smudgy. I don't think I have one of my little handy dandy things, but I'll just clean my glasses for a minute while I give folks a chance to find the channel. And make sure you're still subscribed. If you are subscribed, if you're not, please consider doing that. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel, and turn on your notification bell to ring. Hit your like button. Where is it? It's kind of hard to see. It's like blended in with the ivy. There we go. The Ivy League. Let's see if it'll show up better there. Okay. So everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All of my videos are made for the tube of you. And it's an infotainment platform. So I hope you don't mind when you hear the dog scratching at the door. I just, it's like if I leave the door open, then people come home and make noise. If I leave the door closed, then the dogs scratch at it. You can't win, can you? But you just got to do what you got to do. So I found it imperative to come onto this live because of some of the connections that I have found with Rob Reiner and the Trumpster fire, who I have decided to call the PIGGLY. And I think that's a good name. I think that sticks with all of his crap. Rob Reiner's wife, who, let's see what happened. Is that my... Okay, what is this cord? I think, oh, that's my power cord. Why did that come out? That's so weird. Hold on. I didn't even touch anything. It's possessed. It must be like Rob and Michelle's spirit energy. Seriously, this is huge. And if I can't plug it in, I mean, it is all charged up, so I don't really have to worry about it, but I like to stay ahead of the game. Okay, there. So the art of the deal, that photograph that I mentioned yesterday, that Michelle Singer, Rob Reiner's wife, took of Trump in 1987, I think it speaks volumes that she took that magnificent picture. It is, as you can see in the thumbnail, extremely reminiscent of the Mona Lisa. I mean, she's obviously a brilliant photographer. And he hired her. He hired her to take his portrait for the book that he built his empire on, The Art of the Deal, that he may not have written. I believe, allegedly, that the ghostwriter wrote the entire thing from start to finish. He did speak with the PIGGLY. He interviewed him multiple times to get the information. But I've read a little bit about that, and the author, the ghostwriter, said that every deal that PIGGLY described, when the author, whose name I think I have it written down, but when he would consult with the other people involved, no, I don't think I have it here. I think it's in my other book, the ghostwriter for Art of the Deal. When he would speak with the people involved in each of the deals that PIGGLY would brag about, the other party had an extremely different take on everything. So essentially, I think it's safe to surmise that the PIGGLY is a habitual liar, right? I mean, that's nothing new to any of us. But the fact that he didn't mention that he knew Michelle from hiring her for that epic portrait, But he took how much time to compose a social post insulting her husband, which Rob Reiner spearheaded a committee in 2017, a committee that was researching Russia's influence over the 2016 election. That group, that nonprofit group, was an entity for I think only 18 months. But Rob wasn't just part of it. He was the leader of it. And then ever since then, he's been working on a series. Actually, I don't know if it was for the whole 8 years, but he had been working on a series of a documentary series about the same thing, Russia, Russia, Russia. He was currently still working on that. You can look this stuff up. Usually the articles are more articulate than I am, especially since I've been so sporadic with my videos, and it's kind of harder to compose my thoughts and spit them out when I'm not in the practice of doing it daily, which I really want to be back on that because I love it and I appreciate having this venue to express myself and to hopefully share some ideas. Like, this isn't so much an idea, it's information. Sorry for the noise. I got my phone plugged into my laptop to make sure it's fully charged. Um, so the information that I want to disseminate, because I don't think that regular news media is pointing it out, but it is out there. But I'm going to read to you a People magazine article about this. Rob Reiner documentary. Okay, so that was, I think it was an older article. Um, it's giving me trouble to pull it up because of all the recent information, of course. Let me see if I look it up differently. You just got to try different buzzwords. And I don't remember the exact buzzwords that I used last night when I found this. But also, Rob Reiner tried to warn our country about our democracy being lost within a year. He had done that just in the last couple of months. So he was doing a documentary currently on the connection between BIGGLY and Russia, Russia, Russia. Let's see. Old article. Come on, People magazine. Maybe it'll work if I do my voice to text. 1 second. What was it? It's just not pulling it up because of all this current info. It's so annoying. It's getting buried. Rob Reiner, Trump documentary. series of Russia influence on the election. Let's see. Not the documentary series. Rob Reiner, Trump, committee. Okay. Yeah, it got me where I wanted to go. And sorry for the delay, you guys. Thank you for your patience. I think this will do it. Yes. Okay. Let's read this one. For the first time, President Piggly, I would like to call him, says Russia helped me to get elected. And then he takes it back. He says, I had nothing to do with Russia helping me to get elected, the president tweeted Thursday. This article is from 2019. But this is not the right article. Oh my goodness, this is killing me. Rob Reiner. I guess I'll have to give up on that and just talk off the top of my head. Billy, darling, thank you so much for coming in. I'm having trouble trying to find an article, so it's like upsetting my thought process. How are you doing, my dear? So I'll repeat what I had just said. Did you know that Rob Reiner's wife, Michele Singer, took that photograph of Piggly for the cover of his book, The Art of the Deal? And the fact that not only did he not acknowledge that, but he spent all that time writing that horrible Truth Social post, and then that none of his staff followed up with saying, yeah, and he did know her, he was acquainted with her from when he hired her to do this photo shoot in 1987. And she told her husband some annoying little things about him from that photo shoot. Oh, darling, take your time. What? That is strange. It's really strange. It's really strange. Also, Rob Reiner not only was working on a documentary series currently when he was slaughtered the other day, a documentary series about Piggly and the Russian influence over the election. In 2017, Rob Reiner spearheaded a committee, a nonprofit group that was researching that same thing. So he'd been researching and encouraging others to research the Putin Piggly connection for the last 8 years. So tell me he wasn't on the freaking hit list. And I'm wondering, the more I hear about how Rob and Michele were, I'll just say executed. And forgive me if I'm completely wrong, because maybe it was their son lost his brain and did that, and politics had nothing to do with it. But I think that Piggly may have been confessing when he wrote that rancid rant on Truth Social, and he basically said that Rob Reiner brought this on himself because of his extreme Trump derangement syndrome, that's what caused him to pass away. Literally, I'm paraphrasing, but that's literally what the Biggly Piggly said. So it sounded insane, of course, but then I did sit back and give it a second thought, and maybe he was confessing to something. Because what I started to say is that the details of how they were taken out, and I don't know if the son, Nick, obviously he's been accused and arrested, and it seems like there's a lot of evidence to support that he did it. But what if he had been like MK Ultra? What if he had been radicalized online? What if it wasn't just him? Because both of them were, and trigger warning, they were brutally cut multiple times, and their throats. I think they were found in different rooms. They may have been in bed. So they may have been asleep, which would explain how one person might have been able to pull that off. But maybe he wasn't by himself, because the whole style of the slaughter, much like the Idaho 4, sounds very cartel. Does it not, Billy darling? Let me get caught up with you. Did Piggly off the the Reiners, OMG, oh my G, OMG, was the son MK Ultra? And look, you're already saying it. You're right there. I don't know if the son did. Blaming the victim by Piggly. Idaho 4. Yes, it does. Oh my goodness. You're like, as I was saying all these things, you were typing all these things, girl. And it's horrifying. So we've learned through news media that Nick Reiner had a substance abuse problem, but I have also heard online that he had been sober for 6 years. However, he also seemed to have extreme mental health issues. He had been acting bizarre and argumentative at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party the night before. It's so sad. It's so sad. I mean, I'm sure Conan is beside himself. Everyone's beside themselves, but especially people who were there interacting with Nick and his parents. So it sounds like there was well, first of all, it sounds like just Rob and Michele were invited to the Christmas party. Apparently Conan O'Brien has these giant fancy Christmas parties every year, and everybody, from the A-list is invited. The super cool A-list, right? The double A-list. And then they called Conan shortly before the party started and asked if they could bring their son, because they were concerned about leaving him home alone, that he had not been doing well lately. So he went with them to the party, and he was completely underdressed, wearing a hoodie and acting very strange and not talking to people. And then when he did talk to people, he was really rude and intrusive and bizarre. And the people at the party that spoke with him, I'm sure, aren't going to talk with news media or let any information out that will compromise the investigation. However, there's a ton of other people there that witnessed everything that are probably talking a lot, right? So one of the people that that Nick got into it with specifically, this is so sad, Bill Hader. He's a brilliant comedian. I love him. He's not that well known, and he'll probably get very well known for this. So I don't feel like I'm doxing him, because his name is already out there. So he had gotten into it with Nick. Like, I think he was just like, what the hell, dude, kind of thing. And then it was the next day, I believe, that Rob and Michele were unalived. Let me see what you're saying. blaming the victim. Yes, it does. We got telepathy, girlfriend. Wonder what his siblings think. Exactly. So his attorney is a really well-known attorney who also worked for Karen Reed. And I know a fair amount about the Karen Reed trial. I didn't follow it that closely, but if they were able to influence him and make him a part of this, it would be really easy to pin it on him and him only, and for the rest of it to get whitewashed. If I don't want to be going all nuts with the conspiracy theory, but why the F would he have written that damn Truth Social post? Hideous monster. Why would he do that if not to be the demented moron who's telling on himself, right? I know. I wonder what his siblings think too. I mean, they probably don't know what to think. Diddy was not invited. Love Bill Hader, SNL. Oh, I know. I love that character that he does where he's like pulling his sleeves down and he's telling the tourists, like making recommendations of what kind of tourist activities to do when visiting New York. He is hilarious. He's great. They may have given him psychotics like lolopine or something like LSD. You know, it's interesting that you say that. And also when you're dealing with Russia, you're dealing with a lot of poisons and that type of like MacArthur era, that whole thing, like Jacob's Ladder, right? Mind control. Nick wouldn't remember anything if those drugs, like a roofie or Ripple, thank you. Yes, like Jacob's Ladder. So it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. The lawyer who was Karen Reed's lawyer, he was also the lawyer for some real dirt bags like Harvey Weinstein, and they mentioned a few of them. But I can look up his name real quick, probably. Let's see if that works. What was his name? Nick Reiner's attorney, Alan Jackson. Oh, so he defended Kevin Spacey, some real dirtbags, Phil Spector, like I said, Harvey Weinstein, but I think most importantly, Karen Reed, because Karen Reed was completely scapegoated and set up. And so Alan Jackson is going to be representing him at this point in time, anyway. And from the hearing yesterday, they got the hearing postponed until January 6th so that the lawyer can learn the case. And one of the things that Alan Jackson said about the case is that it's extremely complex. And if there is something like this, that would fit with what he said. But it could be anything. I want to reiterate, like, I don't want to be going all nuts down a rabbit hole. However, here we are. A double homicide is rare. It's really rare to have more than one person taken out at the same time. Even in places like New York City and Los Angeles, they don't happen that often statistically. It's just not common. And what else do I want to say about that? I also want to mention, Billy, did you hear about the plane crash that just happened in North Carolina? It's a smaller Cessna jet, not that small, but one that is issued to a famous NASCAR driver, and it crashed while attempting to land. And they think maybe around 10 people are deceased. And I'm going to bet you these are some famous people. Not just because of who the jet is registered to, but because I'm thinking sabotage, make the attention go elsewhere. Tomorrow is D-Day. And didn't they shut down the freaking Congress last night? Didn't they like take their Christmas break early? Like, how is that going to work with the releasing of the Epstein files? Oh, now we can't do it? Because it's got to be done, right? Rohypnol, thank you. And then Controllable Zombie, the scopolamine, I think I said that right, versed complete memory loss, different drugs they could have used to control the son Nick. Well, and especially, I mean, I've looked at some interviews of him from years ago, and he's obviously not a well person. He's obviously has severe issues with social skills and emotional regulation and articulation. And he's extremely good looking. So he's kind of got that whole Nepo baby complex that I think is also important to mention. I mean, Piggly is a Nepo baby. Rob Reiner was a Nepo baby, but he made something of himself that didn't define him. But it sounds like it did define Nick, that he just couldn't break out of. I mean, he was a middle child, and sounds like he had just been very entitled ever since he was quite young, that he didn't get. I mean, and that happens a lot with wealthy families, is that the kids kind of get neglected, and then they also get spoiled to maybe make up for it, or just because there's so much cash laying around. And it certainly leaves a person feeling empty and with massive gaps in their psyche and in their ego constitution. And the ACA subs have to extend Versed. Oh, thank you. Versed, complete memory loss. You were so good at this game, Billy. You're awesome. I appreciate you. So I asked you how you were, but I don't think I got an answer. And you used to be in healthcare. Okay. Man, you've had quite a career, huh? Are you retired currently? I kind of feel like I'm a little bit retired, but not really. So I had said, I think in my video just yesterday, or maybe the one the day before, that I was afraid that there was going to be a major commercial airline plane crash. And I put the idea out there hoping to jinx it and be proven wrong. But, I mean, I still think that damn Black Hawk helicopter that crashed into that commercial jet over the Potomac River, was that January? I want to say it was like January 26th. I still think that was orchestrated. And I think a lot of these smaller plane crashes have been orchestrated, and the helicopter crashes have been orchestrated. Just like the helicopter crash that I bring up so often with 3 of Piggly's top executives passing away in 1989. So 2 years after The Art of the Deal was published, and he had not opened the Trump Taj Mahal yet, but as soon as he opened the Trump Taj Mahal, he claimed bankruptcy and crashed the Trump Taj Mahal. Now in computer science, IT stuff mostly. Well, there's job security, even in this crazy economy, huh? So that was another thing that I wanted to talk about today in this video is AI. One of the content creators that I get so much from lately, I just really appreciate his work and his presentation, his compassion. His name is Rick Wilson, and he's great. I think he started the Lincoln Project, which is a has a YouTube channel. I think it's more than just the YouTube channel. I think it's like a whole project. But he's really well known, and he just made a video a few days ago about how there's so many fake YouTube accounts coming up saying that they're him and they're not him. And I almost got sucked into one of them, except that fortunately I saw his video, and fortunately I knew who he was, and I knew that the voice didn't sound right. The videos were really good, and I think that they were mostly accurate, which was weird. Like, I mean, obviously some people want to make money with YouTube, like they think it's going to be a good way to make money, and I'm sure it is when you have 1 million subs. But you know, this channel that I was looking at that I kind of got sucked into was called Jebby Barillo. It had 11 subs this morning when I was looking at one of their videos that came up in my feed. And I liked the video, so I subbed up. And by the time I was done watching the video, 18 subs. Really strange, but I watched 2 of the videos anyway, knowing that it wasn't Rick, and then, you know, knowing that it was probably a deep fake, but also knowing that a lot of what they were saying was true. But it's just so dangerous to have that. AI really needs to be controlled, and YouTube really needs to shut down their effing fake channels, right? I mean, YouTube is owned by BIGGLY PIGGLY followers. What was the name of that crazy channel? Jabby Barillo. Or Jebby Barillo. And I want to tell you about it, not so that you can sub up. I've already unsubbed, but so that you can know to look out for channels like this. So they even have a picture of Rick Wilson on their thumbnail, but I don't think that that's him for their profile picture. And now it is up to 22 subscribers. They have 3 videos, and the account's been around since July 16th of 2021. They did one short back then that has 8 views, and I was one of them. And then the video that came into my feed that I watched already has 2,000 views. It was only dropped 16 hours ago. And the title of it is Trump Humiliated as 20 Republicans Abandon His Sinking Ship. And I don't know if that's true and accurate. I know that there are about 20 Republicans that are planning on bailing. And then we know that Dan Bongino just bailed, and a couple other top administrative appointees of his also bailed the day before yesterday. But that's scary that it's already gotten 2,000 views, because a lot of those people probably have no idea that
I have been around Washington.
no idea that it's a fake channel. I was just going to look and see how many comments there are. I'm going to say that this is a fake channel. Deep fake, not Rick Wilson. So in the 9 comments, one is just like a million hearts. Another one says the GOP is a terrorist organization working for a mafia don. As Mark Elias. Oh, they're saying that they think the other person says 3 hours ago sounds like Mark Elias. So are they saying that the deep fake is made by Mark Elias? We need to ban the Republican Party for the very same reason Germany had to ban the Nazi Party. Yes, indeed. Why do you have Rick Wilson posted on the title here on the screen? This is clearly Mark Elias's voice. Oh, they probably didn't know. They probably got confused. See, I didn't recognize Mark Elias's voice. Thanks, not Rick Wilson. Good call on Mark Elias. Yeah. I'm going to say looks like whoever created this got Rick Wilson confused. But we don't want to give them hints, right? Elias. I'm not sure how you say his name. Mark Elias. So yeah. So more than half the people that commented, I don't think realized that it was a deep fake. And if Rick Wilson had not made his video about all these deep fakes being made of him, I might not have figured it out. I would have been like, why does his voice sound so weird? Which also brings to mind the crap that Biggly Piggly put out on the tube last night, the presidential address, the presser, the brain rot. That was AI. Like I've studied a little bit about AI, and you probably know a lot more about it, Billy. That one of the things to look for to see if a video is AI is if the person isn't moving that much, and also, of course, if they have all those fingers. but mostly if they sound like they're in a tin can, if their voice is just like really flat, because most of us when we talk, we're breathing funny or we're having different inflections. Our volume fluctuates, and when it's AI, none of that happens. It's all just kind of this same decibel and same speed and all that. So I was glad to learn that's one of the ways you can spot AI. But I think that what they do in situations like with Biggly Piggly right now is that he's in such poor health that they're making these videos of him to say, look, he's fine, kind of like a hostage video, right? Right, Billy? It's a hostage video. Because he is the puppet for these billionaires to try to like kill our democracy and be the oligarchs. Like that's obviously the game plan. And hopefully it's not going to happen. I mean, they're just face planting right now. Biggly Piggly's face planting, and Erica Kirk is face planting. And I think that she is more involved in some crazy BS than any of us could have a clue. But people are starting to realize it because she keeps making herself public, trying to get attention, trying to be a distraction from those damn files. And the more she puts herself out there, the more she's giving herself away, because she's a really bad actress. I'm so sick of AI bull crap. LLMS are just lookup tools for F's sake. I don't even know what LLMs are. Just lookup tools. Except for the rich, of course. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh is right. So I should probably keep this video kind of short, since I'm just not really putting it all together. I want to find that damn article that I wanted to read. Let me see. I don't know how to look up my history on my Google. If I can figure out how to do that. There's got to be a way just to look up history. Older People magazine article about Rob Reiner starting the nonprofit group to study Russian interference in the 2016 election. Gosh darn it. So yeah, there's a lot of information about it. But I wanted to read that one article. Here, I'll read this one from Variety magazine. Rob Reiner helps launch committee to investigate Russia. This is written back in 2017. Director Rob Reiner is joining a new group called the Committee to Investigate Russia to highlight what is known about the Russian threat to interfere with American elections and other institutions. The committee was scheduled to go live with a website on Tuesday at investigaterussia.org, as well as a video featuring Morgan Freeman. Reiner and David Frum of The Atlantic were expected to announce the launch of the group. The committee's advisory board members include Rob Reiner, James Clapper, and the former director of national intelligence, Charlie Sykes, the conservative political commenter. Charlie Sykes is a conservative political commenter, I think. Max Boot, senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, and Norman Ornstein, resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. In an interview, Rob Reiner said that they are hoping to be a one-stop shop where people can come and be made aware, and this is written weird, and be made aware, pop, what the breaking news stories are today, the various investigations, what stages they are in, but also to the understand, yeah, this is AI, but also to the understand the history and what the Soviet Union and now Russia has been trying to do for many, many years. He also said that a goal is to understand what cyber warfare is all about. Through Facebook and through other means, they were able to infect our democracy and our election system, he said. People don't get it. I guess because they don't feel it. I guess it is like walking around with high blood pressure. You don't feel bad, and then before you know it, you drop dead from a heart attack. Yeah, that's like our whole country, huh? My concern is people don't understand the gravity of what they were able to do. The nonpartisan committee will feature explanatory material on its website, as well as a social media campaign daily newsletter, and breaking news updates. The announcement did not mention special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Russian interference and whether there were any connections to the campaign of Donald Trump. According to an announcement, one of the reasons for the forming of the group is that, in contrast to the days of the Cold War, it's a lot harder to recognize today's cyber attacks and espionage from Russia, but the goal is the same: to undermine our country. This isn't about politics. This is about ensuring the Russians cannot wage war on us without Americans knowing it, and making sure our elected leaders do something about it. Frum was special assistant to President George W. Bush. He is not an advisory board member, but has written extensively on Russia's role in the 2016 campaign. He said that the stories on Russia can be difficult for the general public to absorb and even a little daunting, and that Reiner was someone with a great talent to reach the largest possible national audience with an understanding of what has happened and what more we need to know. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele, and I'm going to tell this story that she told Reiner. I don't want to forget that since I mentioned it earlier. Were founding members of the American Foundation for Equal Rights, and that goes on about, let's see, he said of his latest effort, success will be when we have some kind of bipartisan commission outside of our current political structure that can really look at this and make real recommendations as to what can be done to make our country and our democracy more secure. So one of the things that Michele had told Rob about that photo shoot was that they were like up on top of a building, I think like on a balcony, probably at Trump Tower, and it was really windy, and that Piggly was like, I can't get my picture taken until I get my hairspray because of all the wind. And then it was like, no, not that hairspray. It has to be my special hairspray. So they had to wait for his assistant or somebody to go and get him his special hairspray so that he could spray his horrible hair for that picture. And it is a great picture. And I mean, the book is, I'm just going to guess, like a international bestseller. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it's an international bestseller, probably for the last 37 years, especially, or 38 years, especially because of him being the president. Like, that's probably gotten a lot more sales. And I did look up the book, and it was like $83 for a hard copy, but that might have just been like a bad website or something. That's ridiculous. Anyway, it's a book that he talks about a lot, that I think has clearly defined his bullcrap empire, and that he pretends like he wrote it, but the guy, the ghostwriter, doesn't even think that he read the whole thing once, that he just like scanned it. Ghostwriter for Art of the Deal. Tony Schwartz. AI overview. Let's see. This is what the AI overview says. The ghost in the Art of the Deal refers to Tony Schwartz, the journalist and writer who ghost wrote the book for DJT in '87, essentially creating the persona and narratives, but who later expressed deep regret, calling it his greatest regret in life for inventing a myth he felt was misleading and damaging, using Trump's voice to create truthful hyperbole. So I don't think it says it here, but one of the things that he had said So Schwartz claims to have written every word, with Trump contributing little more than a few marks on the manuscript, though Trump has given conflicting accounts of authorship. He initially saw it as a business opportunity, but grew to feel shame for his role in building Trump's larger-than-life image. He feels a deep sense of responsibility for creating the persona, stating, "I put lipstick on a pig," and that it's his greatest regret. So one of the things that I read was that he has heard so many people say that, the person who wrote The Art of the Deal would make a great president, and that's why a lot of people elected him, people that did vote for him. And that Tony Schwartz is like, I don't really think I would know how to be president, but I'm the person who wrote the book. So all of your messages are retracted, girl. What's up with that? Did you do it? Oh, just you probably did that just to protect my channel from getting flagged for talking about all that crap, huh? If you're still here, if you want to let me know if you're still here, because I am going to go ahead and wrap up. Let me see if there's anything else that okay, I was going to read a couple of really funny quotes from that fake account of Jabby Barillo, because they are really good quotes, even if it is a deep fake. This one is one of my favorites. Playing dictator with a Sharpie. Yes, I did it. Lipsticked Piggly. Exactly. Isn't that a good one? Playing dictator with a Sharpie. And then that he's got the emotional range from anger to hate. True. And that he also said in one of his two videos, because I did watch them both, you do not get to crown yourself king just because your supporters wear matching hats. Is that great? Oh, this is also really great. Real money based on fake numbers. Talking about all the crap that is happening, like with the tariffs. Real money based on fake numbers. So, it made me sad that it was a deep fake account, because I thought that those things that I wrote down from their video, I thought were great. And then I'm just like, but is it just like some stupid person that thinks that this is a good way to go with a fake channel? Is it a bot? Is it like Russian interference where they're going to try to like suck people in with the whole Rick Wilson thing, and then try to make them think that Rick Wilson is saying a bunch of crazy shit? I don't know, but the connections that Rob Reiner has with the whole Russia shit, and then the connection that his wife had simply from being the photographer for that cover of The Art of the Deal. It is extremely suspicious to me that he put up that post not mentioning that he was acquainted with Michele at the very least. But obviously he would have been furious with Rob Reiner for 8 years of Rob calling out the Russia shit. I also wanted to mention one of the channels that I really like these days. I'm sure you like them too, Billy. I bet you already know the channel, The Daily Beans. And who is the host of The Daily Beans? She's great, and I'm blanking. I usually would know her name. I think it's Allison or something. Daily Beans host. Allison Gill. Okay, good. I did have her name right. So Allison Gill is the main creator, I think, of the Daily Beans podcast, and then she has somebody that works with her regularly. and also has people that sit in. She does have a doctorate degree in, I'm not sure what her doctorate degree is in, but she also has a work history, uh, military. She's a vet. She served in the Navy. I think she's kind of famous for um, being the host of something called Mueller, She Wrote. So around the time of the Mueller investigation, she was doing her own investigating. And then also she was assaulted. She was raped when she was in the Navy, and she tried to get the Navy to do something about it. And that, I think, is what spurred her to be a political activist. And also, she had conceived from the grape. She was roofied at a party, and she, I think, had a lot of trouble uh, trying to obtain an abortion. I think she was in one of the states at the time that didn't allow abortions, and she was still in the Navy. So working within the framework of those parameters, um, it was really rough on her. So the Daily Beans is a daily dose of progressive news and social justice topics. What is Allison Gill's doctorate in? What is Allison Gill's doctorate degree in? So she's essentially famous for being a whistleblower. Health administration from the University of Phoenix in 2015. So yeah, she's awesome. She rocks. And she lost her job. She worked for the VA in San Diego, and she lost her job because the Piggly administration didn't like the fact that she was a Democrat, basically. So there's that. So I'm going to wrap up. Thanks so much for being here, girlfriend. You're the best. And have a really good day. Drink your water, eat your protein, get fresh air and sunshine. And I'm a little stuffed up because I think I'm having allergies, but I've been doing my neti pot and taking my allergy meds, and I don't think I have a cold, so hopefully not. Anyway, I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks again, Billy. And anyone else who's watching, don't forget to hit your like button.